Hello there everyone and welcome back to Empire Total War with Imperial Destroyer. Last time around we defeated the Danish and threw them out, and since then I've also cleared up all the remaining Danish forces that were around here. So they're cleaned up, and as a lot of people noted, now I've been reading the comments. Well, basically I've done a lot of videos, so at this point right now I've released I think part 5, and what is this, part 9 or something, so I'm a lot ahead of you. But I've been reading the comments and a lot of people seem to already see the fact that what's happened in the later ones, that I'm slowly walking towards disaster and losing, and doing a few turns and checking stuff out. It was going that way, and I decided that I wouldn't just let the campaign end at level 30 because the enemy destroyed me in a way or another, but just because they keep piling on. So what I decided to do is actually cheat just to keep the campaign going. Now it's not a major cheat, it's just that I made sure that I made peace with all nations that I don't have a land border with, and especially Prussia. So currently I'm only at war with, well, I also, basically the original enemies. So I'm not at war, well, I'm at, the ones that I am at war with is probably easiest way, because I was at war with at one point even Portugal for some reason decided to declare war on me. But I am currently at war with Russia, and Poland, and Denmark. So even this will probably create quite a bit of challenge, but it's not going to be an insurmountable task as before. Yeah, if you're gonna do a campaign in Sweden in this, don't go ahead and make the mistake of dragging Prussia into the war early on, since you're already at war with so many other nations and more will just pile on. So that really fucked me up. I think because my campaign, I think it largely was probably overconfidence, because I never really got any super big challenge playing the last campaign, which was as Great Britain in Shogun 2, and for the most part my troops were always better than the enemy. I had more money and stuff, and I'd always been able to outmaneuver the enemy and so on, so I didn't really have the kind of challenge here. Here is basically I put out one fire, two fires appears. And so I decided, you know, to keep the campaign going, I was gonna go ahead and make sure that I made peace with these nations, even if I had to cheat to do it. And that's what we did. So we're now, I mean, war would probably still break out with these nations, but at least it gives me a chance to actually go ahead and turn it around, which wasn't really the case beforehand. So I've left this region to the enemy for quite a while, and as we can see, they have built up quite a lot of stuff. First, they built a fort, obviously, because 8,000, they can just throw that away. They're building up the ordnance factory. They're building an admiralty, which I don't even have in Sweden proper. Oh wait, I do actually. An opera house, governor's mansion, better barracks than they had before. They're even building the cobble roads. They're building a shipyard here. The fishery is up and going. They've built this and so forth. Anyways, enough with that. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go to war, and it's my Eastern Army under the command of Egil Kwamen. I don't know what kind of name generator they got to get that as a Swedish name. Maybe at the time, I'm not a particular expert in 1700 Swedish names, but I'm pretty sure there was no general named of Eglin Kwamen. I don't know where they got that from. Anyways, so we've got still a pretty big challenge here. So we've got 3 more or less full stacks of Russian troops that I am going to try to defeat before they go ahead and take Finland. And we're gonna start off with taking the easier task of trying to attack and destroy the smaller force. Hopefully, and also we kind of get a test on to see if I'm not able to defeat these guys in good order, then I mean I probably won't attack this. This one I think will be easier because it's mostly cannon and I probably can outmaneuver them. But this fight is going to be interesting because we're going to have a lot of enemy cannons, which for the most part, most armies that we've faced has not had cannons to put up against me. And these are the 12-pounder guns, which means they can fire canister, which is going to be interesting to see that as my tactics has mostly been moving up close in the flank and firing before charging in, sort of the Karolian tactic, and that's going to be interesting to see because I can't really charge in on batteries like that without expecting huge losses. And then after I defeat them, I think the plan is actually not to take back St. Petersburg. That opens up a border with Prussia, and Prussia will go ahead and declare war on me most likely. So the idea instead is, well, these armies come from here. So we'll march out here, take this instead, and then from there we might go ahead and attack Moscow. What I want to try to do is make sure that the nations that border this province, which I think we have two, we have the Cossacks here, or whatever these people are, and then we have more Cossacks or something in Kiev. So we have these two, so I want to see if I can improve my relationship with these two before I go ahead and take this, because otherwise I'm pretty sure they will just go ahead and declare war on me. But with this said, let's go ahead and have a battle, shall we? Says my army, and yeah, let's go ahead and strike at the enemy. Let's reclaim our fur coats. Statistics or the battle meter tells me I'm a bit in favor. We'll try to minimize our losses as much as possible. And yes, off we go into battle. Right, and so here we are on the field of battle. I don't actually like the fact the enemy did not go ahead and set up a post to me. They actually set up on sort of my flank a bit, or they started off in a line like this, facing my side, which means I was hoping the enemy would come straight down here at my cannons, and then I would be able to sneak up in the forest and to be able to attack them. Now if I move forwards into the forest here, my cannons won't be able to affect the battle here, and also any troops on this side would have to cross over into open ground. So currently the Russians are holding pretty good ground. I am pretty confident though, as the Russians are advancing here, that if I provoke them into attack towards the forest, I could probably crush them there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna march up into the forest. I'm gonna march to meet the enemy, even though it might be a poor decision. I'm gonna have to move the cannons, and I'm not entirely sure. I mean, if I move them over here, there's no way I'm gonna be able to have time to set them up to actually fire on the enemy. So I think the easiest way is probably to move them down here, and that's gonna be basically close support. Or I'm closer here anyway, so we might be able to hold down this ridge here, so we're not firing a bit closer at the enemy than before. Want to keep an eye on these guys. Cavalry, horse archers, they have done a lot of damage to me in the past. Some Cossacks. We keep an eye on those as well. And what else? The Dragoons, not so much. I've been able, for most part, to be able to kill them off without a lot of worry. I mean, at the current state, it seems as though they're gonna actually hold up right here. Which means that I could possibly move my cannons into the position up here, where I will be able to lay fire down upon them. I was really hoping, or I would really hope, that there would be canister with a 12-pounder gun. I'm not entirely sure why you can't load canister in them. But, yeah, that's my loss. I can't rely on canister as much as I did in my Napoleon Total War 3 campaign, where I relied on it a lot to crush enemy formations, partly because the accuracy was so poor that the battles would drag on for way too long if I just let it go down to musket fire. I'm gonna move the cavalry over here and the general into the forest. Now I know in Napoleon you get a clear sense that, oh, the general will affect this area. In Empire you don't, so I'm not entirely sure if there was an invisible line or if it just affects the entire battle. I think there is. I think they are, yeah, inspired by nearby units, so it does have kind of an inspiration if he moves close, but it's not as apparent as in Napoleon. And it would be nice if you had the sort of Napoleon things like inspire and stuff like that, which I think are nice features. Let's go ahead and see. It's going to take a while for the cannons to get up there, and what I probably want to do is drag the enemy in front of the cannons. So say that these 4 units, instead of actually lining up here, we'll send 2 cavalry to support them. And then instead of lining up here, I will line up here. Once the cannons are in place, I will line up more to this side, forcing the enemy to turn, hopefully coming against these guys, which will fire at close range. And then a lot of the fighting will go down on this place. But first we need to get the cannons in place and everyone else in place. We've got enemy general charging forwards. We're letting off 2 massive volleys towards him, but from a very bad location. At the back of the slope there. Protects us against the enemy, or the enemy... I mean, in reality, they wouldn't be able to see us. And we wouldn't be able to see them as well. Let's see, they're moving around. But it looks like they're just positioning themselves further back to avoid the cannons. Most of the enemy cavalry has moved to this side, which I actually like, because most of my infantry is hiding in the forest here. So they would be able to hold off against them. I believe infantry gets a bonus for fighting in the forest. Best terrain to actually set up the cannons. I mean, I don't know how far up I want to push the cannons, or if I just want to move them more towards this side to be able to lay shots from this side. Okay, so they're firing at the general again. They've killed 1 single bodyguard unit. I think this is pretty good ground right here. And as we move the cannons over there, we'll move all of these men over to this side. Stretch them out like that. I'm gonna move these 2 a bit back. Let's see, where's the cavalry units I've sent? They're back there. They will be placed back there instead. And then these 2. To gain a bit of the advantage of having high ground on this side, they will be placed here. Cannons are soon in position. The infantry, which is hidden here. The general is in place. This cavalry unit is in place. And we're just waiting for the cannons to get in place and to open fire upon the enemy. Right. Unlimber and start opening fire. We've got enemy infantry closing in. Could they be going for my cannons, possibly? Let's move cavalry close to make sure that if enemy cavalries are moving this way, seems like they are. Cannons hold fire. Turn towards these guys. Pretty sure the cavalry is coming towards these. I'm hoping I'll tell you to run. There's no way I'm gonna actually be able to get these guys in time. However, what I will be getting is the fact that a large part of the a large part of the cannon crew is actually somewhere back here, or the like, what you want to call the backup units. Let's go in and save the cannons, shall we? And the enemy marching on en masse towards us. Right, this one's sent off. That one's sent off. Let's go ahead and get these guys. Cannons are still ready. The infantry needs to come up as the enemy is closing in way faster than imagined. And these two needs to come towards the cannons. And the enemy is completely ignoring the forest, which means that we're gonna have to close in fast. I'm hoping my cavalry will be able to handle the enemy cavalry without support, because they're gonna get none except for the general. And the third cannon, or the third unit, god damn it, get back on your cannons. And I want the cannons to bombard down there. Get back on those guns. They're still supposed to, there they are. It's gonna take a while for them to actually get in place to go onto the cannons. Okay, the enemy is actually trying to flank there. What I want to do, since the enemy seems to be coming on right towards the center, and they haven't fired yet, is to hold these two units back here and wait for the enemy to get really close. All that, I was gonna hold the shots there. So these two will hold their shots. God damn it, they march straight into the bloody cavalry. We're holding our own there though, so that's good. Ooh, this is nasty. Charge in, would you please? These two units fire straight into the enemy. Once fired, we will charge bayonets. Come on, give them everything you bloody well got. That's what we're talking about. The enemy is being pushed back forwards by the push of bayonet. Right, we have one regiment of militia coming into range right there. This one's holding on. Right. That did not really work, so why don't you just gain some ground and continue to shoot down the enemy. And the bloody cannons completely failed. The horse fight is still going on, and yes, I'm winning. Hopefully, I imagine that a lot of it is due to the fact that I supported my cavalry with the general. Turn out right in front of these guys. Let's see if we can't break this unit. Ah, you have nothing to fire upon, means that you are probably loaded. You'll come in through the side there. I want the cavalry to be ready though pretty darn soon, because I want to chase down all of this mess. Because we only have one Russian unit left. How about the general go in there for the last kill blow, shall we? Most of the Swedish dead soldiers seem to be located on the flanks of these. So it was really these enemies right here that did the most damage to us. Okay, so one of the bastards is back. This one's still fighting on, but when this one falls, I can fling up on the flank of the enemy. Move into line. Most of the enemy is back now, but this one is at least broken. And that means that these two can move up towards the forest. And then these two can go in to slay this one. Yes, now the horsemen are ready, so we'll go ahead and push them in here. They have actually, these horsemen have actually done a very good job. They've been fighting the general and a full unit of militiamen, and they've only suffered 16 casualties, which I'd say is pretty good. The enemy is still running. I want to chase them down. We need to kill them off if we are to win. I haven't lost that many infantry, but I seem to have lost quite a bit of cannon crew in a mistake. So we're probably not going to see any more cannons in this fight. Right, go and chase them down. Get rid of the general will probably do a lot to the enemy. And they won't be running around behind enemy or my lines, really. We'll see if we can charge after them, and you know what? I'll probably jump straight into the next battle. So I'll continue to chase these guys down, and then I'll jump from this battle directly into the next one. And so here we are for the next battle. We can see that I'm attacking the I don't know what to call it, the siege train possibly, because it's got so many cannons. We'll see what they do, what they're doing with the cannons. Right now they're pulling back. Place the cavalry over here, and the thing is, of course, not to attack them straight on, which is why I have split the army, which is maybe not that good to split the army against a superior force. Luckily, I actually placed the cavalry on the right side, both well on the right side and on the right side because it's the one facing the enemy cavalry. We'll start off with these guys advancing towards the enemy flank, and then we'll have these guys advancing towards the enemy flank, followed by my cavalry. We'll see about sending these guys off and then do basically a pincer maneuver. My cannon survived, but I'm not going to win an artillery duel, especially against an enemy that's holding his position. Now they haven't actually unlimited the cannons, but the enemy's got, as you saw, so many more cannons. It would be nice if you had, I mean, you have the ability to take prize ships when you win a battle and you can sell them after the battle. It would be nice to be able to do that with, say, other stuff like cannons in battle. So I would not want to hold on to all these cannons after the battle, so I could probably sell quite a few of them. You would gain money from that. So I don't know why they didn't continue to expand on that idea that you would gain loot after defeating an army, which I think would have been interesting, and that would serve to make it easier to hold, say, a smaller, more elite force, and bigger chance for a smaller country to actually succeed, and maybe have some sort of like a resupply point system that would work towards ammo, resupplying infantry and so forth. And the fact that you would have to travel along roads to facilitate the resupply to actually turn up sort of behind you, and that would lead the enemy to go on the roads rather than, as here, marching in through basically the nowhere in Finland area. So they would have to go through the roads because otherwise they wouldn't have supply turn up to their troops. And they could lead to starvation and stuff, and that could lead to, say, if you draw the enemy into your country in a very Russian way, you draw the enemy into your country, you cut him off from behind, slowly his massive armies just disintegrate before you because they're not getting any supply, there's no food and so forth. So that would be interesting. I'm gonna move the cavalry over into the flank, and then the infantry will have 3 going on this side, and then we'll have 1 going from inside the forest. Right, so the end... Is that howitzers? Yes, it is. Well, not howitzers, mortars. But they're not hitting me. I mean, imagine how hard it would be trying to hit a unit that is... Holy shit, that's pretty good reload rate on that mortar. You would get a more or less constant barrage. Let's draw this horse regiments in closer before I fire. And get my horse regiments ready to come in. Right. Probably better to fire now before the enemy flanks around me. Okay, I'm pretty sure the enemy is about to charge in. Send these 2 to attack, and this one to attack here. So before they are able to retreat, my cavalry turns in from the flank. We've got this one turning up in the back, ready to fire. This one's ready to fire as well. But I don't want to shoot my own men. But I want to hold the enemy in place to prepare for my line infantry to shoot them. Let's continue forwards into the forest here. Good place to hold. Oh, the enemy is actually retreating, which is good. I don't want to follow. Instead, what I want to do is shoot them. So we want to hold them a little bit. No, not at all. Right, let's go over here. Drag them in front of this unit. And this unit will shoot them down. They'll lose considerable amount of men, and this unit is already falling apart just by the pressure of my men. But we took a lot of casualties in this fight. Right, let's open up with this one. Hopefully, I think he'll... Pretty sure he's firing on this one. And they missed a shot. Right, continue after these guys. Once we're clear here, we can open fire with this one. See about completely yeah, there we go. Completely destroyed. We'll chase, since there's no fatigue, we can afford to chase them off. Then these units will march into the forest. And these guys will continue their advance. Ooh, here comes enemy cannon fire. Deadly focused fire on us. We need to get into the forest quick to make sure that we soak up those shots. And yes, there's no point in chasing these guys anymore. The enemy army is actually turning. I want to support the flank attack, which is not really going to be a flank attack anymore because the enemy is turned. So I guess these 2 are the ones that will hold the front line. And then these 2, you know what? Into the forest, all of you. Because we got enemy infantry coming close. Make sure that everyone's got fire at will, so we're not caught unaware. Looks like the fighting is going on kind of in this area, so cavalry will charge in from this area. And since the enemy is abandoning this, I will be able to gain the ground here and fire down from the hill onto their artillery. These 2 units will gain ground towards the enemy. Cannon shots is gonna do a heavy amount of damage, but I'm hoping that focusing in with the infantry here is gonna do the job. Right now they're focusing in on this unit and pummeling it with artillery shot. The enemy is being held here. Looks like an ample opportunity for a cavalry charge. Gonna split the units in 3. One, the smallest one going for these units. And then the other two going for this here and one there. So the smallest one should actually be 53, one is over there, and then the other two will be over there. We'll run into position and prepare. The Russian infantry is now all over the place. Right, the mortar is falling apart. As the enemy is actually falling back, I will advance to the edge of the forest. That way, not so many of my bullets will be soaked up, but a lot more of the enemy bullets will be soaked up. Right, attack there. And then we're waiting for these guys to get distracted. Is he turning this way? Yes, he is actually. Shit. We'll fall back temporarily. At least I'm taking out these cannons. Let's not strike the enemy general. We're gonna have to go in from the flank. But right now I'm not actually that worried because our fire seems to be working perfectly. This unit has lost a lot, so not the best location to attack from up here. See if you can get into the forest. Now the unit's losing quite a bit of men. And forwards. This one will follow into the flank. Charge! They turn just as we charge in. Mass casualties on both units. Why don't you continue push into that cannon? We've put one unit in the flank. Let's continue to just cause as much havoc in among the enemy units, stopping them from firing. And while we do that, why don't we advance? Advance hard upon the enemy. Keep the enemy confused. And, well, you can see all these men routing now. And the best way to kill them off... Oh, the enemy general charges in. The best way to kill those guys off is to send in bayonet charge. My unit is still holding on, which is good. But I think we will turn the cavalry now to come around here. Probably should have turned them maybe over here. We've lost quite a few men on this attack. Yes, shit. I lost a shit ton of men over here. Right, move up quickly in the flank while you two turn to face that way. And form square. And then the 3 cavalry units will continue and get rid of those infantry units. I'm pretty sure we can just shoot down these guys. They're still in kind of a bit of a disarray, so I will push forwards. We'll drop the square and be able to shoot the enemy from all sides and cut these guys down. This unit needs to go. Right, let's close in while they're distracted fighting this unit, which is doing massive damage as the enemy is slowly just moving into position. Before this opportunity actually falls apart, we'll go ahead and bayonet charge. And the enemy is falling apart here as well. Ooh, hold fire. Do not shoot at our own unit. It's already lost enough men. Charge in bayonets. There's still quite a lot of Russians. There we won. Still quite a lot of Russians left in the units. Same as last time. I'll continue here a bit, but just to make sure that I chase these guys down. See if we can catch as many of these Russians as possible. And there we are after that battle. So the last battle I think I lost 500 men. This time I lost almost 900, which is a little bit too much. I think I have 1600 men left. And there is a question whether or not I will actually be able to continue on to take on this one, which I gather probably has around 4,000 men. So instead what I will do is, let's see, replenishing this army will cost me 5,000. What about the cannons? The cannons, 700 alone. It would be nice to have full-sized cannons. So I guess we'll replenish those, and maybe if there's an infantry unit. Or maybe actually the cavalry is better. Cavalry is very useful. Right, we'll actually retreat to the fur post and hold that, and I think this will be it for this episode, looking at the fact that the time the battles took. Next time around, I'm wondering if I'm not gonna just go ahead and destroy this one off camera, and next time we'll see about actually doing some aggressive attacks here and possibly attacking Denmark. So I have a plan to attack the enemy right here, crossing here and destroying the enemy. The problem is, I'm pretty sure the Danish Navy will see this, or they will try to block this port, in which case they'll block this. So I'm contemplating just setting the port on fire, which will give them like no reason to move here. I'm also actually recruiting 2 really crap ships, like galleys, in either port to try and stop the enemy. The plan is at least to, I mean, look at the garrison in Copenhagen. It's very tiny at this point, and I'm pretty sure I will be able to attack and take it. Most of the enemy army is actually moved here. As we can see, it's a... Oh, sorry. There's a normal 9 infantry regiments, and it's quite a big army. So I'm not entirely sure I will be able to hold on against these guys. One thing that I notice here is that, I mean, looking at the points here, it doesn't really seem to matter whether or not it's a newly recruited unit or if it's a veteran unit. So I'm not entirely sure if that's a thing with the mod or if that's just a case with Empire. Because I don't see why you would want to remove that. Veterancy, I mean, that's pretty hard earned most of the time, so not entirely sure. I mean, the thing is, the way the mod, I mean, in its standard, without sort of extra game options, the mod is super hard and super unplayable. I guess that's the way Russian developers like it, mod developers. Anyways, I think this is it. So, or this is it. So, as I always say, hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye!